Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about how to attract, engage, and retain clients to your veterinary practice using digital marketing. My name is Brandon Brashears. Thank you so much for listening. Today's episode is 234 and a half, a quick in-between episode that gives you a little marketing tidbit to think about that will help you with your practice. Before we begin, I just want to mention a couple things. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. And secondly, if you're not a member of the Facebook group, the Veterinary Marketing Nerds, head on over, join the group. We have a challenge coming up that you can join if you're interested. If you go to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/challenge, it is a 5-day workshop. By the end of this challenge, you will have a marketing funnel. It'll be at noon Pacific on December 6th through the 10th. All the sessions are going to be recorded so that if you cannot make any live session, you can catch up with the recorded things. And then also you'll be able to access the recordings at any time so that you can use it for you or your team. And you're going to be getting a marketing funnel that you can use over and over again to get specific clients that you love working with. So if you're interested in that, head on over to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/challenge. Let's jump into today's episode. The quick little tidbit that I want to leave you with and I want you to think about is pricing in your practice. Let's think about how most businesses go out and price themselves. They'll go out, they'll take a survey of the market, they'll kind of see what the average prices are, what average charging is happening, what people are charging in the marketplace, and then they'll kind of put themselves somewhere in the market, maybe a little bit lower than the average, maybe just right about the average, somewhere in there. Now there's, I think, a few problems with this kind of a pricing method when it comes to marketing, and pricing is really, really important in marketing standpoint because it positions your brand. It helps you to afford marketing, like dollars spent in marketing. If you have an incredibly cheap product, there's no margin in there to pay for marketing, so you have difficulty. So the problems with this is you're assuming that the people that you're comparing against are insanely profitable, right? And most businesses, and small businesses especially, are just kind of treading water. The average veterinary practice is not, there's not Lamborghinis in the parking lot, right? So most people are just charging enough to keep the doors open. And secondly, you're probably competing with large, hugely funded corporations that are able to have loss leaders and things to get people in the door because they understand their numbers and they have departments of people that are really focusing on that. So, kind of picking in the middle is not a benefit or strategic at all. There's actually only two prices that will help you in being competitive and will give you a competitive advantage. The first is pretty obvious, right? And the first is being the cheapest is actually a competitive advantage. And I think most practices do not want to be there for a good reason. It's a race to the bottom. You'll get closer and closer to zero until you go out of business. The second most competitive place and the competitive advantage is actually to be the most expensive. That sounds really weird and counterintuitive, but if your product is the most expensive, people are going to probably assume that it is the best. You'll be able to spend more to acquire customers, and you'll be able to pay yourself and your staff more. So there's a huge advantage in being the most expensive. Now, obviously, you have to have great service. If you're going to be the most expensive, you cannot just have terrible service. There has to be justified. So I think that when you're thinking about how to price your products and services in your practice and the way that you package those, think about that. There's only really two places to have a competitive advantage when it comes to pricing. So which one are you, and are you in the right spot? I hope this was helpful. We'll see you on the next episode, and talk to you soon.